Good morning, Team Alabama. We are going to begin reading a new book. It is Don't You Dare Read This, Mrs. Dunfree. And I want to show you the structure of this book and how it is organized. Text structure can be organized in several different ways. And if you're taking that Socrative each morning, you know that there are different ways that we can order. We can order by sequential order or chronological order, and that is actually how this book is done. It is written like a diary, so it is day by day, so sequential or chronological order. That would be how this is organized. Okay, so I want you to start kind of taking a look at how things are organized and what is the text structure when an author chooses to write. So this book, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to read the back of the book for us. Things are so bad. I feel like I am going to explode if I don't do something. Everyone has to keep a journal in Mrs. Dunfree's English class, but the teacher has promised that she won't read any entry marked, "Do not read this." It's the kind of assignment that Tish Bonner, one of the girls with the big hair who sits at the back of the room, usually wouldn't take seriously. But right now, Tish desperately needs someone to talk to, even if it's only a notebook that she doesn't dare let anyone read. As Tish's life spins out of control, the entries in her journal become more and more private and dangerous. Is she risking everything that matters to her by putting the truth on paper? And is she risking more by keeping silent? Okay, so this is this book, and our main character is Tish Bonner, and she's going through some big mess. And it's one of my favorite stories. She writes it like a journal. Okay, so she's writing this kind of telling about herself. And in looking back at how it's organized, we know that it's chronological or sequential order. I want you to see if you can pick out which point of view this is in, okay? So it starts out August the 28th. Please find this on your tab, and it's attached to the week's assignment. You're going to read this book along with me as I read it. And you'll have another tab open, and you'll start keeping track of your 50 facts, because you'll do 50 facts on this book, 10 questions, and 10 vocab words, just like we do for any book. And those of you that stopped at 50, if you want to shoot for 70, you're going to get some extra credit points too. So it starts August the 28th. All right, Mrs. Dunfree, you said we had to do these journals, but if we wanted to write something personal and private, we could mark an entry, "Do not read." And then you wouldn't read it. You'd just check to make sure that we'd written something, right? Okay, that's what I want. Don't read the rest of this entry. Did you stop reading? I can't believe a teacher would be so stupid. That's what Eric Lynch was getting at when he asked, so like we could mark every single entry, "Don't read," and then we could write anything? Everybody knows that Eric handed in the words to "row, row, row your boat," written over and over again instead of outlines in his history notebook last year. And Mr. Tremont never even noticed because he doesn't really check anything, even though he says he does. Eric told everyone Mr. Tremont wrote, "Good job, nice penmanship, A." And you're telling us you don't check? I can tell you're a first-year teacher, Mrs. Dunfree. But what if I do write something personal and you really are reading these? I'm going to give you a test. I'm going to write something that's secret, that no one else would know about me, and see if you are reading this. Let's see. The secret is, I know how to crochet. You think that's not such a great secret? Well, you probably haven't figured out whose journal this is. This is Tish Bonner writing. I'm one of the girls who sits in the back row. We all have big hair. Mr. Tremont calls us the Gum Cracking Brigade. You looked kind of scared when Sandy, Rochelle, and Chastity and I walked into the room today. Let me clue you in. We don't crochet. Crocheting is for old ladies and prissy girls like Heather Turner. You probably haven't met her yet. You know her because she's got the flattest hair in the school. It's a little greasy too. She wants to be a home ec teacher when she grows up. And she had a crush on Mr. Tremont last year. Have you met him yet? He's bald and ugly and has a stomach bigger than the globe. And in his classroom. And she brought him homemade cookies. Oatmeal. That's Heather Turner. That's not me. So you're probably wondering, how is it that I know how to crochet? Hey, I said one secret. That's it. If I can't trust you, if you are reading this, I can't give too much away. Okay, let's start with some facts. What do we know about our main character right now? Her name is Tish Bonner. Our main character is Tish Bonner. Start with a capital, end with a period. She is testing the teacher to see if she can gain her trust. She tells her a secret. She says that she knows how to crochet. Those are all facts that we can add. Okay, so go ahead and add those. If you want to pause this while you add them, that's a good idea so that you can start your 50 facts. Okay, next entry is August the 30th. So it's organized like a diary. Make sure you're reading this on your PDF or on your Chromebook while I'm reading it too. Don't read this, Mrs. Dunfree. Do you know what a drag school is? Maybe you really don't. Maybe you liked it when you were a kid. Maybe you think it's fun now. You looked like you were having fun today or trying to, talking about commas on the board. I mean, commas. Who cares? Don't you have anything more important to worry about? I do, let me tell you. And I would tell you, but I haven't handed this in yet to see if you pass my test. School, though, that's what I was talking about. You've got us doing this stupid journal. Mr. Tremont wants another stupid history notebook from us every 6 weeks. Mrs. Ratchethead? Oops, sorry, Mrs. Rasho. It's going to make us dissect frogs soon. Mr. Steinway gives us 3 pages of geometry homework every night. Who cares? I've got to work at the Burger Boy most nights and almost every weekend. If I don't, hey, no clothes, no food, no nothing for Miss Tish Bonner, or probably not for Matt Bonner. That's my brother. Either. You don't think my mom gives us money, do you? If it weren't for getting to see my friends at school, I'd probably drop out. Hey, that's another test for you, isn't it? You teachers are programmed to freak whenever someone talks about dropping out. If you're really reading this, I'd be slapped into the dropout prevention program so fast my head would spin. You know what everybody calls the dropout prevention program? Drip prevention. Smart, huh? It gets the drips out of school without them dropping out. Really? I can't drop out, though. Then what would I do? No laying around the house watching TV for Miss Tish Bonner. My mother's already doing that herself. Ha ha. I'd probably have to go full-time at the Burger Boy. I'd probably be doing that the rest of my life. And you know what? I really hate the Burger Boy. A lifetime of dishing out burgers and curly fries? No, thanks. Okay, let's add a few more facts. What else do we know now? We know that Tish has a brother. Matt Bonner is Tish's brother. She works at the Burger Boy. Her mom's in the house, and she seems to watch a lot of TV. Let's see what else we can figure out. It sounds like her teachers give her some homework that she's not real thrilled about. What would you say about whether Tish likes school or doesn't like school? Why don't you put that as a fact? Okay, September the 1st. Don't read this, Mrs. Dunfree. You sure you want us to write in these twice a week? My life's not so exciting that I have something to say twice a week. I don't have anything to say at all. But you said that we have to have 4 entries before we handed these in on Friday. So hey, here it is. I'm writing this in Mr. Tremont's class. He's probably thinking that I'm taking notes. Except no one else is taking notes, so why would I? It's not like he would expect me to be a standout student. I'll tell you now, I'm a C student. Sometimes I get B's when I get lucky. I don't study. One time last year when we were freshmen, they made us take an aptitude test. I don't know what I was thinking, but I really tried hard for once. Guess I just wanted to see what I could do. And you know what? I knocked the socks off everybody. I did better than Susan Stanwyck and Mike Hardy, and everybody knows that they've got computers where their brains are supposed to be. After that, Susan went around telling people that she was coming down with the flu that day, and that's why she didn't have the highest score for the first time in her life. Yeah, right. It was too much hassle, though. For about a week, I had all the counselors and teachers swarming all over me. I can still hear Mrs. Anthony saying, "Now that we all know what you're capable of, Tish, I'm going to expect a lot more out of you." Like I was really going to start doing my algebra homework. Mrs. Herzenberger started talking to me about college. Then it's like everybody remembered what they were dealing with and forgot me. Hey, I'm not one of those kids who grew up in Chateau Estates or Gulf Terrace. I only live 4 blocks from the school. You've probably been past my house, and if you haven't, you've seen ones just like it. Small, poor, and falling down. You think there's any money stashed away in some college fund for me? Right. Tell me another joke. Have you ever noticed Mr. Tremont says, so to speak, every other sentence? He's doing it right now, and it's driving me crazy. I'll take down every word he says. The French and Indian War, so to speak, was part of a much larger event, something, something, something. I can't get this all. And Americans, so to speak, get a little egocentric, looking back on this event, so to speak. Gag, gag, gag. Okay, let's add some new facts. What are some new things that you know? Where does Tish live? Describe her life. Is she wealthy? Okay, add that as a fact. What kind of student is she? Is she smart? How do we know? Okay, add a couple more facts. September the 4th. Don't read this, Mrs. Dunfree. This is due next period, so I've got to get this done quickly. Mrs. Ratchethead is looking at me. Oops, I couldn't go on because Mrs. Ratchethead was really, really suspicious. I guess we were supposed to be taking a test. Now it's 2 minutes before your class is going to start, and I'm trying to write fast. But it doesn't matter because this entry isn't going to be long enough. Tish, except, and the teacher writes and it's in italics, so you'll find that in your book too. Tish, except for your 4th entry, you seem to be writing plenty. Please try to keep up the volume. If you make this a regular habit, you'll find it easier and easier to do. Just this once, I'll give you full credit because your first 3 entries are long, but try to write long entries every time. September 9th. Don't read this entry, Mrs. Dunfree, so I need to keep up the volume. Yes, ma'am. I hope you didn't write anything like that on any of the boys' journals. They'd make a dirty joke out of it. And they already make enough comments about you just because you're young and smile a lot. You know, if I foofed up my bangs some, you could pass for, if you foofed up your bangs, you could pass for one of us. But anyhow, maybe you can't help writing stupid things on our papers. Maybe it's required, being a teacher and all. You did pass my test, though. I went up to you after class, after you had handed back our journals, and asked, "Do you know how to crochet?" And you looked at me so stupidly. I knew that you hadn't read that entry in my journal. I still think that you're being dumb, but at least I feel safe now. Safer anyway. So the teacher passed her test. She gave the teacher a test, kind of, to see if she could trust her, and she passed. Because I don't have anything else to write about, I will tell you how I learned how I learned to crochet. My grandma taught me a long time ago. My grandma's dead now. She died 4 years ago. Okay, there are some good facts. She lived with her grandma. Grandma taught her how to crochet. Grandma died 4 years ago. After the funeral, I took the Afghan that she'd been teaching me to crochet and threw it to the back of the closet, and I think it's still there, but hidden under a bunch of old tennis shoes. This is funny, because I hadn't really thought about crocheting or that Afghan in a long time. But lately, sometimes when I'm lying in bed almost asleep or almost awake, my fingers kind of twitch, and I realize they're moving. Okay, let's start our vocab list, and let's start the word Afghan and that's kind of like a blanket, okay? And twitch. What does it mean to twitch? Like if you twitch, you move, or an odd movement. So her fingers start to twitch or move like she's crocheting. And I realize they're moving the same way they used to move when I crocheted. Weird, huh? I'm glad you're not actually reading this. I'm glad no one is. Only it'd be nice to have someone to talk about things like this with. Okay, we're going to stop there, Team Alabama, and we will finish chapter 1 another day. Let's go ahead and make sure you have at least 10 facts down and get those finished up. Have a great rest of the day.